The case of Ian Thomson being prosecuted for defending himself against attackers is one of the cases, one of the stories that I get the most email about. It's either thank you for covering it or why haven't you covered it lately? Get me an update. Well, we've got a fantastic update for you today. Yesterday in a Welland, Ontario court, Ian Thomson was acquitted and he is now free of all charges, unless, of course, the Crown decides to appeal. You are seeing video footage. This is surveillance footage from Thomson's own home back in the summer of 2010. 4 men firebombing his home, threatening to kill him. He fired shots over their heads or towards them. We'll find out directly from the man in a moment, to scare off the attackers. He didn't shoot them. He shot warning shots, fired warning shots to scare off the attackers and then put out the fire in his own home. He's the one that got charged. The acquitted Ian Thomson joins us now from our Toronto studios. Sir, it is a pleasure to speak with you, and congratulations. It must be quite the relief to have heard the judge's words yesterday.
Thank you. Yes, it is a relief, but it really hasn't sunk in yet.
What's it been like over the last couple of years dealing with all this? Or perhaps maybe it's best to say, take us back to the day. Was it August 2010 that this all started?
August 22nd.
August 22nd, 2010. So explain to people what was going on when you woke up to what you later saw in your surveillance cameras of people throwing firebombs at your house. What happened?
About 6:30 in the morning, I was waking up and I heard a vehicle go by, which was not uncommon, somewhat unusual at times, but definitely not that uncommon. And then I heard it go past again.
And you live in a rural area, correct?
Oh, I'm back in the bush, in the swamp, like Shrek.
Okay. So this is why it's uncommon for cars to be going back and forth.
Except for maybe the neighbor leaving or coming back, and which was common for him to do.
Okay. So you're waking up and you hear this vehicle, and then?
And all of a sudden I heard this loud bang, an explosion outside my bedroom window. That's it here on the video now.
Okay, so you hear this bang. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing you didn't know what it was at the time.
Not a clue. I assumed it was the hot tub had possibly popped something or caught fire. I didn't know. Okay.
So did you get up to investigate? How did you find out that you were being firebombed?
I stood up and looked out the window and saw who turned out to be Randy Weaver, standing in my backyard with dark clothing and a balaclava covering his face, screaming at me.
Okay. These are some of the men that later faced charges for the attack.
Yes.
And this is all surveillance footage from your own home.
Yes.
Correct? Okay. So they're screaming at you. What did you do?
I picked up my phone, which was right on the bedside table, and I tried to dial 911, but I couldn't get the phone to work. I tried that twice. And at that point, I heard another explosion from the front of the house, and I knew that I had no option. I was left with nothing left to do but to do something to protect myself. And so I ran and grabbed a handgun.
Okay, so this is a handgun you legally own.
Yes.
You're not a gangster that buys them on the street corner. Licensed former firearms instructor, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The charges that you ended up facing had to do with, I guess the Crown was trying to say, you had everything too close together. There was no way you could have gotten that handgun so quickly and fired, that you were carelessly storing your firearms.
That's what he said.
You had them locked up, though. You just happened to know where they were, because they're yours.
Of course. Okay.
So you fired warning shots. You got charged. How shocked were you when the police said, Mr. Thomson, you were facing charges of A, B, C, D, and E?
I wasn't surprised in the least. I knew that as soon as I used the firearm to protect my life, that charges would be laid. That's the typical process that goes on in this country.
We have seen it at times where police have laid charges and then eventually they investigate a bit more and they drop them, or the Crown drops them.
Right.
That didn't happen here, and in fact, I spoke to your lawyer, Ed Burlew, just around Christmas, and he said, if we win, the Crown's going to appeal. So that could still happen, and that could prolong the stress and the aggravation that you've been through over the last few years. But I want to ask you, how big a stress has it been on your life? Because you were facing significant jail time if you were convicted at one point, weren't you?
Oh, absolutely.
How significant?
2-3 years maybe. The Crown seemed to have an agenda to make an example of me that would put the fear into every firearms owner in Canada that you are not allowed to defend your life under such circumstances that I faced that day.
So they're trying to make you an example, and they're also, from talking to people that have followed the case, feel that they're trying to make you a precedent case by saying, essentially crafting new law through the court that says how you store your ammunition is important. Right now, you don't have to have your ammunition locked up. You have to have your firearm locked up because you can't do much with a bullet unless you have a gun, correct?
Correct.
So now they're trying to say, well, you've got to have your ammunition locked up properly. Is it going to, what's your personal life going to suffer like if this continues on for another couple of years through an appeal process?
It's already had a huge effect on my my future income, the mounting bills that keep coming in. But I'm not going to quit on this. I did not break the law. I did nothing wrong, and the Crown is misinterpreting what has been written by Parliament.
You mentioned the mounting bills. I'm guessing that Ed Burlew, while a nice guy, doesn't work for free, does he? And there are legal bills involved. Are people able to help you out with those? Are people that are supportive of the cause able to say, you know what, let me send you a check for $100 because this is an important case. This is the sort of thing we need to support with real money.
Absolutely. Donations have been tremendous. I'm so grateful to everybody who has looked at the injustice that I've been facing and still face, and for their contributions to my legal fund. Mr. Burlew deserves to be paid. And I frankly don't know how I'm going to come up with the rest of the money.
Okay. Before we let you go, have other than the Crown potentially continuing prosecution, have the problems of attacks in your neighborhood, have they stopped? Was this a one-off thing?
Attacks that are that severe seem to have subsided. After I was firebombed, I was hit with a house brick by a neighbor. And when I get home this afternoon, later today, I have to call the police again for them to come out about my neighbor entering onto my property and essentially damaging my property. So,
but thankfully at this point, no more firebombs. We do want to thank you for coming in today, and I know it's not easy for you to talk about it. Hopefully we can get the Byline Nation though behind you and get some donations. Thanks so much, Ian, and best of luck.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Okay, I want you to go to I want you to go to liliespad.ca if you believe that this is a case worthy of supporting. We'll have details on where you can send donations to up the blog.